Good morning. Welcome to the Deep 404. There is a lot of news coming out of the Middle East. Things are happening here. Iran seems to be waking up and stretching its muscle in the reporting that's coming out today. I've got a number of items that I'll run through here, but I'll start off with, again, there have been reports that a US tanker has been attacked. The British maritime security company Ambrey reports a US merchant ship has been attacked off the coast of Yemen. A fire broke out in the hold of the vessel. It is reportedly flagged as to the Marshall Islands, but is considered an American vessel. No injuries were reported, and the bulk tanker, or bulk transporter, remains seaworthy, is the reporting at this stage. This is interesting because this ship is not considered to be tied to Israel, but it is considered to be tied to the US. So this appears as though ANsar Allah and the Houthis are sticking to their threats of now expanding their blockade of the Red Sea and their attacks upon freighting ships if they are related to the United States or the United Kingdom. And this has happened after the United States and United Kingdom launched their missile strikes on the Houthi positions. Prior to that, the Houthis were targeting only Israeli linked ships. There was an anomaly. There was one which was apparently transporting Russian oil, but I imagine that's probably, there was some other reason behind that, or it was mistakenly considered to be an Israeli ship. However, an anti-ship ballistic missile was reportedly used in this attack. The boat may have been the Gibraltar Eagle. I haven't heard that confirmed, but I saw some early reporting that someone thought that may have been what the boat was, but American aligned. So expansion of the Houthi activity in the Yemen area, in the Gulf of Aden, in the bottom of the Red Sea area. In Iraq, a lot of activity yesterday. The US Consulate, now this doesn't appear to be the active US Consulate, but there's talk that they may have been developing and building a new one, and that some ballistic missiles were launched and struck near that. I saw some reporting saying there's development work going on for a new US Consulate, cranes and that sort of thing, and that was struck. May or may not be correct. Reportedly, the Iranian-revolutionary Guard has assumed responsibility for this attack. The US reports there were no US casualties and no damage to their infrastructure during this attack, and that 3 drones were shot down near Erbil Airport. Now, what goes on here is some reporting from the IRGC, the Islamic Revolution Guard Corps in Iran. They have announced that the headquarters of terrorist groups in the region were struck with their ballistic missiles. According to the IRGC statement, the attack came in response to the terrorist crimes recently committed by Iran's enemies. And in a subsequent statement, the Revolutionary Guard has said that it targeted one of the main headquarters of the Israeli Mossad in the Kurdistan region of Iraq. This was said to be in response to Israel occupation entity's assassination of leaders within the Revolutionary Guard. It explained that what it struck it considers to be Mossad's headquarters in the area, the Centre for Developing Espionage Operations and Planning Terrorist Operations in the region, especially against Iran. Now, in this strike, it is reported that a number of people were killed, and in particular, Peshwa Majid Agha, who is the chairman of Empire World and Falcon Group. Now, if you look at their websites, they are large Iraqi conglomerates operating over a whole range of business areas, property development, healthcare, beauty products, industry, all sorts of things. And it appears as though their chairman has been killed in this strike. And Safin Dizay. Now, these the Iranian reporting is that they are related to Israel and to Masoud Barzani. Masoud Barzani is the leader of the Kurdistan Democratic Party since 1979. He was the president of the Kurdistan region of Iraq from 2005 to 2017. The Iranian sources are saying that in addition to Safin Dizay and Peshwa Majid Agha having connections with Mossad being the Israeli intelligence service, that they traded oil with Israel through their companies, and that's why they have been targeted. So we're seeing escalation, a US tanker attacked by the Houthis, US Consulate perhaps attacked in Iraq by the IRGC, attacks on a Israeli Mossad perhaps target in the Kurdistan region by the Iranian-revolutionary Guard Corps. Also, Iran reportedly attacks on ISIS in Syria. Now, this one is interesting because reportedly the missile attacks that were launched by Iran into Syria yesterday had a missile range of 1,200 kilometers. So this is reportedly the longest successful missile attack Iran has conducted. Again, sort of a flexing of their muscles, if you will. I might just jump to our map here for a moment. Okay, and we'll just want to measure something here. But if we go from Iran to Israel, that's 1,200 kilometers. So what we've seen, I think, by this attack from Iran into Syria yesterday is something of a message to the Israelis. They have just demonstrated we can successfully attack a target 1,200 kilometers away. Oh, and guess what? You are 1,200 kilometers away from us. So this is a development for Iran. It's reportedly the first time they've successfully launched a missile and hit a target at that range. And this was on the city of Aleppo in northwestern Syria. So a number of attacks in a day on what Iran considers to be its enemies, US Consulate base, Mossad Israeli base, and people operating with Israel, transferring oil to them. And then an ISIS site in Syria. And then this morning, just before I started this show, a report that the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps have launched several ballistic missile and drone attacks towards a headquarters of an Israeli-backed Jaish al-Adl. I don't know this group. The Iranians consider them to be a terrorist group. This was near the city of Panjgur in Balochistan province of Pakistan. So there has been Iranian activity in the last day in Pakistan, in Syria, and in Iraq, in the Erbil area of Iraq. So definitely the whole region, things are escalating, it seems. This is not a reduction in activity. I'm just going to zoom in here a little bit. So we've got that activity for the Iranians. There's also, yesterday, there were some reports of some skirmishes on the Israeli border with Egypt. So this is along this line here. The reporting was Israeli reporting. It was indicating that the 20 or so people that the Israeli Defense Forces engaged with along the border were drug smugglers, attempting to smuggle drugs into Israel, not Gaza. It wasn't reported they were trying to get into Gaza, but they were trying to get into Israel. At least one IDF soldier was wounded in the fighting. One definitely, I think a woman taken to hospital, but possibly more wounded. Again, may have been drug smugglers there. That is true. May have been something else. But if it were something else, if it was some sort of fractional fighting starting up with Egypt, then we're starting to see activity in not only Lebanon on the northern border, the West Bank, Gaza itself, but possibly something to do with Egypt and the Sinai area, and all of this other activity going on with Iran. Qatar has yesterday announced that it is going to suspend shipments of gas tankers through the Bab al-Mandeb Strait, which is at the bottom of the Red Sea. The Red Sea. This is down through this strait down here. This decision has come after the US and UK strikes on the Houthi positions. Now, Qatar is where the Hamas leadership is housed. It's where they primarily get their leadership and financial backing managed from. The Houthis support Hamas, and now it seems as though the Hamas leadership is supporting the Houthis to some extent. Now, the Qatar, I'm sure, would not be concerned about shipping gas through the strait here and through the Red Sea, because they're not Israeli aligned, they're not US or UK aligned. These Qatar sending these ships through, I imagine, would be able to get clearance with the Houthis if they needed to. But it appears as though they are saying, no, the area is too dangerous now because of the US and the UK strikes and activity in the area. So, again, escalations and development there. And it's a statement, just a couple of things I want to just finish off on. One to do with IDF, Israeli Defence Force casualties, and one just a statement of the Prime Minister of Oman about the shipping. So the Prime Minister of Oman has reportedly said, the shooting down of some merchant ships bound for Israel mobilised the weapons and airplanes of the Western countries, but no one acted after Israel's destruction of more than 20,000 Gazans. I just think it's an interesting statement, which perhaps does reflect priorities in the area for the different areas of the world, Eastern and Arabic areas of the world. We have seen massive now US activity, UK activity, looking to align and grow consortiums of nations to support and enable transport through the Red Sea. But as he said, no similar such support for the citizens of Gaza. Interesting. IDF casualties. So Yedioth Ahronoth, an Israeli newspaper, has stated that up to 5,000 soldiers have been wounded. This is Israeli soldiers have been wounded since the beginning of the war on October the 7th. The Israel Ministry of War, the Defense Ministry, has officially recognized 2,000 soldiers as disabled. So this is something which I think would happen in a process, like a workflow. People would be wounded, and then after going to hospital and having treatment and perhaps undergoing rehabilitation, would begin to be recognised as disabled if they had been wounded so badly as to be disabled. So 5,000 people wounded, 2,000 recognised as disabled. The Defence Ministry's Rehabilitation Department is reported to be receiving approximately 60 wounded soldiers daily, most of whom have serious injuries. Idan Kaliman, who's the head of the Israeli Army Organisation for the Disabled, is reported to have said, I've been in the organisation for 30 years and I've never encountered such a large number of severely wounded individuals. There are many wounded with amputated limbs, blindness or paralysis, Kaliman goes on to say. So what these numbers, I'll just give a comparison here of the Israeli Defence Forces versus the citizens or the people within Gaza, whether they be Hamas or just civilians. But at this stage, the official numbers, anyhow, are that the Israeli Defense Forces are reporting 520 dead and 5,000 wounded. The Palestinians are reporting 23,843 dead and 60,000 wounded. So you see a large difference in the numbers there. But of course, one other telling difference is that the Israeli Defense Force are all soldiers. These are soldiers killed in battle. The Palestinian figure of 23,800, the majority of those are women and children and are not soldiers. So things definitely continuing to heat up and exacerbate in the Middle East, with Iraq definitely flexing some muscle yesterday in attacks in Pakistan and Iraq, and sending that missile, that 1,200 kilometre range, I think, as a signal to the US and Israel that the Israel itself is in range of Iran, and so to just be aware of that. All right, I'll leave that there for now. I did release just before this, you should have seen an update for today on Ukraine. So if you're interested in what's going on in Ukraine, there is one to go and watch there too. If you're enjoying the channel and you think you know others who would, please share the link to the channel with them. I hope you have a good day, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.